This one had it all: denial, deception, and a father fighting for his place in his daughter's life. It started with Ms. Miller, who was ready to prove once and for all that her ex, Scotty Rasmussen, was not the father of her 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee. She had been battling in court for years, filing petition after petition for a DNA test, but every single request denied.
Ms. Miller, you're here to prove to your ex-boyfriend, Scotty Rasmussen, that he is not the father of your 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee Rasmussen.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim you've been in an ongoing court battle over custody and have petitioned the court several times for a DNA test.
Yes, Your Honor.
Meanwhile, Rasmussen stood firm, insisting that Miller was only doing this out of pure hatred. He had been in his daughter's life since birth, driving hundreds of miles every other weekend just to see her. He paid his child support, he showed up, and now, suddenly Miller wanted to erase him from his child's life? Not happening.
Rasmussen, you claim the real reason Ms. Miller is denying your Zaylee's father is because she hates you.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say you've been there for your daughter her entire life, and you're here today to prove you are Zaylee's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
But Miller disagrees. She doesn't hate Rasmussen, she just doesn't trust him. She insists that Rasmussen's actions are not born of the responsibilities of fatherhood. Miller tells the court that Rasmussen has an ulterior motive that drives his actions.
Tell me
not
what
all.
you believe to be true in this situation.
Yes, I was very mad at him for being a cheater. He cheated on me through pretty much our whole relationship. No, I do not hate him because of that. I lost my respect for him, yes.
He says this is about visitation, too. He loves his daughter, but you don't want him to have the visitation. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then came the bombshell. Miller wasn't just questioning paternity out of nowhere, she had a reason. When Zaylee was conceived, she claimed Rasmussen was nowhere near her. He was in Vegas, and her, she was with someone else.
What is this really about for you? Why is it you don't want him involved in this child's life?
Because I still believe that he's not hers.
Okay, and listen, that's what we're here for. I want to get down to the bottom of the truth.
Yeah.
You don't believe he's her biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, but it didn't end there. Rasmussen swore that they never truly broke up. As far as he knew, they were together during that time. Not only had he signed the birth certificate, but he was also at the birth, at every doctor's appointment, and every milestone. His name was on every important document. And yet, here they were, 3 years later, and Miller was saying something different.
So you're on the birth certificate.
Yep, I was at...
You're at the birth?
I was at the birth. I was at every single doctor's appointment. When Zaylee was born, you were at a doctor's appointment. I was at home because I had to work that day. I was at my job as a cashier. I got a phone call and I answered it. They said she was going into labor.
Miller detailed what she went through in their relationship. According to her story, Rasmussen cheated on her repeatedly throughout the entirety of their relationship. They had been engaged to marry, and now they can't stand each other.
What was the problem exactly? You let him sign the birth certificate.
I gave my daughter my last name.
Because we were engaged. And I thought we were going to get married. I thought we were going to have a happy life and raise our daughter together until about 3 months after she was born. One of his friends told me everything that he was doing throughout our entire relationship, cheating on me.
Judge Lake was listening, but you could see it, the irritation building up in her eyes. Because let's be honest, if a man is paying child support, traveling long distances, and actively trying to be in his child's life, why would a mother fight so hard to push him away? And if she was so sure he wasn't the father, why let him believe otherwise for years?
All of this is happening, and this man is continuing to step up to the plate like he has a daughter on the way, like he has a newborn baby girl. Even through the breakup, you all are making custody and visitation arrangements, but you know deep down there's another possible father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why wait so long to tell him?
For Rasmussen, Zaylee is his baby, and there is no convincing him otherwise. He had fought the courts to have the right to be in his daughter's life. Over time, he had built trust and can now create memories with his daughter.
Oh, it's phenomenal. Every time I get her, I try to make the best I can out of it. Even if I don't have any money from, having to put gas in the car and pay the child support and everything. We try to do as much as I try to do as much as I can with her, whether it be something as little as, going to the park or going fishing or going to an amusement attraction.
But if there's one thing Judge Lake can't stand, it's nonsense in her courtroom. And today, she had absolutely no patience for it. The courtroom went silent as she picked up the results. This was it. This was what everyone was waiting for.
Mr. Rasmussen, you are not the father.
Jeremy Boston walked into the courtroom with confidence, convinced he had this case in the bag. According to him, there was absolutely no way he was the father of 10-month-old Tristan. He wants the court to set him free.
Mr. Boston, you have dragged the defendant into court today because you say you have undeniable proof that there is no way possible that you are the biological father of the defendant's 10-month-old son, Tristan. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
However, Teresa Murphy, the child's mother, was done with his excuses. She was here for one reason only, to put an end to the lies and force him to take responsibility, and Judge Lake, she gets straight into it immediately.
Ms. Murphy, you say that you are tired of Mr. Boston's lies and you want him to stop denying that he's Tristan's father. You believe the DNA results will be your proof today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
At first, Jeremy played it cool, acting like the whole case was ridiculous. He claimed he never even slept with Teresa. That alone was enough to raise eyebrows, because why would a man who supposedly never had sex with a woman be dragged to paternity court? But it didn't take long before his story started crumbling. As soon as Judge Lake pressed him, he switched it up. Okay, maybe he had slept with Teresa, but only with protection. That's when things started spiraling.
Boston, what is your proof that you are not Tristan's father?
Your Honor, you have to have sex to make a baby. And I don't believe in, I don't remember even doing that well.
Lies.
You don't
He's
remember
lying.
having sex with Miss
All of a
Murphy?
He's
sudden, why am
lying.
I
He was at
finding
my
out
house
that?
all the time, every day, every night in my bed.
Teresa wasn't about to let him rewrite history. She fired back, making it clear they were more than just a one-time fling. According to her, Jeremy was at her house all the time, sleeping in her bed, acting like a man who knew exactly what he was doing. But Jeremy, he kept trying to downplay it, saying he was just hanging out, sometimes crashing on her floor when he couldn't get into his own home.
You weren't in a committed
Yes, we were.
relationship.
No.
Yes, we were.
She done turned the friendship into a whole marriage.
OMG, like, for real, really? No, that ain't how it went.
Miss Murphy,
Yes, Your Honor.
so how long were you in this sexual relationship?
4 months.
I wasn't even at her house for 4 months.
He's lying. He's
She
lying, Your
would call me-
Honor.
Teresa wasn't just fighting for child support, she was fighting for the truth. She recalled how Jeremy reacted when he first found out she was pregnant. He wasn't shocked or angry. In fact, she said he was happy, rubbing her belly, smiling, and playing the part of a man who knew exactly what was going on. But the moment things got real, he disappeared.
How did it go?
When I moved to Danville, I bumped into Mr. Boston. We exchanged numbers. After that, he started coming over my house, spending the night, and we had sexual encounters plenty of times on several occasions in my bedroom. When I first found out I was pregnant, he was happy. He came over to my house. He's like, oh.
Now, if that wasn't enough, Jeremy then made a claim so absurd that even the audience couldn't hold back their laughter. He admitted he had been with Teresa for months, but insisted he never even knew her real name. That's right, he claimed he only knew her by a nickname. 4 months of intimacy, and yet, according to him, her full name was a mystery. It was a crazy claim, and the judge let him know.
She was
Everything.
pregnant in the process of me being
No,
over a
no,
family member's house.
No.
That family member came in the house, told me, well, you know somebody named Teresa? At the time, I didn't know her government name. Only thing I knew was
He's
Bookie.
lying. He's
I knew her
lying,
by
Your Honor.
Bookie. I
He's
never
lying.
knew Teresa Murphy. Never knew
Wait
her
a
name
minute.
was Teresa.
Oh my God.
Even
Your
in
Honor,
Chicago.
he's
So you-
lying.
He tried to twist the story into something completely different. He claimed he found out about the pregnancy from someone else, someone who casually mentioned it in passing. According to him, he had no idea and wasn't even around when the baby was supposedly conceived. The timing didn't add up, he insisted. It was all just a big misunderstanding.
What happened when you found out Bookie was pregnant?
Say, well, congratulations. Tell her congratulations. Who was the father? So the lady like, she's saying you the father of this child. Oh yeah, so how far along is she?
2
You
months.
know, I wasn't over your house for long. For a little while.
Oh, you're saying so there was a span of time that you didn't go over there at all?
Exactly.
The court already located one of the potential fathers and brought him as a witness. If Teresa said that no one else could be the father, then it makes sense to eliminate each potential father according to the level of involvement.
We've determined that you, in fact, have had a relationship with Miss Murphy,
A sexual relationship.
just a sexual relationship. Take me back to the day Miss Murphy told you she was pregnant.
She texted me on Facebook and told me she was pregnant. I never talked to her again. Like deleted everything. So I blocked her. So basically, I blocked her.
And yet, the back and forth continued. At this point, Judge Lake had heard enough. The contradictions, the weak excuses, the blatant denial, it was all too much. The DNA results showed that neither of the men was the father of the child, but before the results, she gave them a piece of her mind.
And when I conceived, I didn't talk to neither one of them, but I had Mr. Boston information as far as his birthday, his social security number, and everything.
Y'all gonna learn something today. Y'all gonna learn something in this courtroom today. Out here having sex.
This was a circus from the start, a paternity case so chaotic that it felt like a soap opera happening in real time. It all started with Ms. Prowl, a woman standing before the court, claiming she needed childcare expenses covered, but first, they had to figure out which of the 3 men was her baby's father. Yes, 3. Even Judge Lake had to take a moment to process that one.
Ms. Prowl, now you're asking the court to award you $470 in back child expenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
Should men be identified as your biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
And right there in the defendant's box stood Mr. Morton, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Morton believed he was about to clear his name. According to him, their relationship had started with sparks, an ice skating date that never actually made it to the rink. Instead, they went straight back to his place. Fast forward a few months, and the romance crumbled faster than stale bread. Ms. Prowl had been with someone else, not just someone, multiple someones.
Mr. Morton, you say that the list of men Ms. Prowl has slept with has led you all here to paternity court. You believe it'll be proven today that you are her baby's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
What you most about this situation?
Well, in this situation, her pretty much against the world.
But here's the kicker. Morton wasn't exactly a saint either. Prowl accused him of sneaking around with another woman. What is the evidence? Right there on Twitter, buried in messages too explicit to be read in court. Morton, of course, denied everything. And when Prowl admitted to snooping through his phone, he flipped. Suddenly the argument shifted. Who cheated first? Who was the real villain? Who had the right to be angry?
Ms. Prowl, you relationship with Mr.
Yes.
And going pretty well?
Yes, the relationship was in the beginning. Now, a couple of months in, there's another woman.
What evidence do you have of that?
On his Twitter, talking to a young lady, saying these things that I...
Actual things.
Yes.
Mr. Gaddis, the second possible father, wasn't even in court, but his video statement was enough to turn stomachs. He openly admitted to sleeping with Prowl, bragging about the chemistry at work and how good she looked in her uniform. And if that wasn't enough, he didn't even know she was in a relationship. When he finally found out about the baby, he laughed it off.
Were you cheating with Mr. Gaddis or not?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
All right. You also believe he could potentially be your child?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Mr. Gaddis was not able to offer a video statement.
Sex was great. I ended up hooking up again after that.
But then came Mr. Lowry, the third man, another co-worker, another one-night fling. And what did Prowl have to say about this? She admitted it was out of spite. Morton had been messing around, so she figured, why not? 2 can play that game.
Also a third person.
Yes, Your Honor.
How did that come to pass?
Mr. Laurie, we also met, and do want to say for the record, very remorseful. That was totally out of spite. That's what it was. I did it because messing around with someone else.
Prowl told the judge that she now recognizes her mistake because 2 wrongs don't make a right. 2 wrongs? This is 3 wrongs, and counting. When Mr. Lowry took the stand, he revealed the extent of their intimacy.
Thank you for being here. What do you have to add to this? You were intimate with Ms. Prowl, so you understand be her child's father as well.
My problem with this is sex more than once. Why wasn't I hit up for this? Like, why weren't I called?
Your Honor.
I'm talking now.
That's when Judge Lake had enough. 3 men, all co-workers, a whirlwind of hookups, secrets, and lies. And now, Prowl stood before the court trying to dictate which of these men she wanted as the father, as if that was up to her. Judge Lake wasn't having it.
What do you mean? How would you know? I have 2 nephews.
So how do you change it up?
Hold on 1 second, hold on. Got a young man that's passionate about knowing whether he fathered a child. No.
Mr. Lowry was insistent that he should have been told. He revealed that he grew up without a father and wouldn't want that for a child who is potentially his. Prowl's argument that he didn't want him to be the child's father stunned even Mr. Morton.
How would you know that if you never told?
That is he compassionate? Mr. Gaddis?
He's not even here, so why?
No, but you know, since you don't know me, but you know him, so Mr. Morton compassionate? Like, since
all
like
he
the devil,
cares about
you know?
is his video game.
Passionate, don't answer the question.
Prowl brought receipts showing that none of the potential fathers had ever contributed anything to the child's upkeep, but Judge Lake stood up for Mr. Lowry. If he didn't know that he could be the father, how could he contribute? And then she goes in hard on her.
I better hear you take responsibility yourself. You and your baby are today. I'm not saying they got all of you silly, because you're teenagers. You have no business even having babies. If you don't require that they protect themselves, guess who is the that can end up pregnant?
Mr. Johnson was sure he was the father. He had signed the birth certificate, been there for the birth, and even traveled to be by Miss Owens' side. But now he was in paternity court. blindsided by the revelation that another man, one who was now deceased, could have been the real father.
You say you were there when Dakari was born, and you even signed his birth certificate. Ms. Owens slept with another man.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Miss Owens? She was standing there, shifting uncomfortably, saying she just hoped the baby wasn't the other man's because, well, he wouldn't be around to raise him anyway. Judge Lake had seen a lot of cases, but this one, it was pure chaos.
Ms. Owens, you claim that at the time you believed the baby was Mr. Johnson's, but as he got older, you were worried that he looked like Mr. Tyson, the other father in question. Now, since he's not...
Johnson felt played. First, she told him he was the father. Then, when their son started to grow, she suddenly saw another man's face staring back at her. And just like that, she flipped. Maybe he wasn't the father after all. But what really got under his skin? She knew she had been with another man, yet she let him believe the baby was his.
Why is this so important to you?
Well, I feel like I've been misled, you know? She was telling me, you know, one minute that father, then the next minute, a couple years down the line, that I'm not the father, you know? I don't know what to think.
You lying.
Why am I
Ms.
lying?
Owens did...
And just when you thought it couldn't get messier, it did. Johnson was furious. The woman he trusted had led him straight into this mess, and now she was there acting like none of it was a big deal. He didn't hold back, throwing insult after insult. And Miss Owens? She wasn't about to let him get the last word. She fired right back, and before long, the courtroom turned into a battleground of finger-pointing, yelling, and name-calling.
Am I correct?
Yes.
You got pregnant? He was at the hospital. Mr. Johnson...
I paid for him to come to the hospital. I bought his ticket. I paid for him to come back.
Where's all this coming from, though, man?
And I paid for go to Chicago.
Ms. Owens insists that Mr. Johnson didn't help out with the baby despite his claims. According to her, his presence and absence meant basically the same thing. That's a hard one. However, Johnson had a weapon in his arsenal, name-calling.
Trying to understand not just Ms. Owens' side, but your side as well, Mr. Johnson. Were you helping her raise the baby? Were you support?
First feed him
The
while she was lymphatic.
Wait.
Judge Lake quickly brought the focus back to the innocent child who was caught between the two warring adults. Mr. Johnson gladly revealed that he hoped the child was his, and that having signed the birth certificate, he hoped to continue taking care of the baby despite having doubts.
Believe like this might not be my baby, so I went along with it. I believed, I trusted her. I had trusted in her. She told me that I was the baby's father, you know, and that's exactly what it was.
She said you did have doubts.
He had doubts. He just a little bit, I guess.
It turned out that after Tyson's death, Ms. Owen had turned her focus on Mr. Johnson, despite the possibility of Tyson being the father. Mr. Johnson wasn't very pleased, and the case went from 0 to 100 real fast.
No, not Tyson, him. It didn't even, my son was like, my son.
I think that he could have been your baby's father.
I remember that he hit it. You ain't gotta tell me that. Wait a minute.
Miss Owens had already reached out to the other man's family. His mother was about to enter the courtroom, hoping to find out if this child was her grandson, but before she could even enter the court, Ms. Owens and Mr. Johnson were at each other's throats again.
Okay.
How could that not be in your mind?
Little one, can you calm down?
Sex with him.
Pipe down, little one.
You had sex with him. How could that not be in your mind? You ain't funny or none of that, though.
Judge Lake had had enough. Her voice cut through the noise like a knife. She didn't just demand order, she commanded it, and then she let loose. She called them both out for their childish, reckless behavior. This wasn't a game. This wasn't some drama they could laugh about later. A child's entire future was hanging in the balance, and here they were, acting like fools in a courtroom.
Let's get this straight. I want to address in the order I want to address. Here acting silly. You other act like this is a stage play, and
This courtroom wasn't ready for the storm brewing inside it. Tensions were thick, emotions high, and at the center of it all, a fragile, undeniable truth waiting to be revealed. On one side, a teenage girl and her mother are adamant that young Anthony Taylor was the father of little Osiris.
What stands before me is a cave and babies, teenagers. This is upsetting. With that said, Miss Sism, you and your teenage daughter, Destiny, are here to prove that Anthony Taylor is the father of your daughter's 8-month-old son, Osiris. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
On the other hand, Anthony's mother firmly believed that her son had nothing to do with the child. For her son is still a child and was being accused of serious allegations. Also, she claimed Destiny had other boys besides her son, Anthony.
Ms. Riley, you stand before me claiming that you are 100% positive your son is not the child's father and have insisted on a DNA test from the moment you heard Miss Sism was pregnant. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Destiny's mother started off things all emotional, but don't be deceived. These women are not here to joke. From the get-go, they started pointing fingers. Anthony's mother, Ms. Riley, claimed she had no idea her son was involved with Destiny. She swore Destiny was just a friend of her daughter, nothing more.
That Anthony is the father.
I'm 2,000% certain, Your Honor, that Anthony is the father of Osiris.
And you are emotional already.
Yep. I have a grandson that's 8 months old. He needs his father. I lost my dad when I was 2, so I know what it's like not to have a father. But I'm not here because of me. I'm not here because of Destiny. I'm here because of Osiris.
But as the heated accusations flew back and forth, one thing became painfully clear. These weren't just two families fighting over paternity. This was a battle of blame, regret, and shattered trust. Judge Lake had seen a lot, but she wasn't even prepared for the chaos about to unfold.
My son was going to school. How you going to tell me what's a lie?
Because, Your Honor, they was having sex in her house.
You didn't even care
and
when
she,
your daughter
what
was
type of
there.
parent is she? If
You
she gonna
didn't care
tell
when your daughter was
them, she
there.
told
You
them.
on the same part.
She told
Hold
them
on,
to use
hold on.
protection.
Hold on, let's get some order.
Sex in her house.
The story? It was as messy as they come. Destiny, barely out of childhood herself, had been sneaking around, seeing Anthony behind her mother's back. But she wasn't the only one kept in the dark. Ms. Riley was too. That is, until she started noticing something strange. Destiny wasn't just hanging out, she was spending nights at their house, in Anthony's bed.
Your Honor, I see her walking with another guy. My son at school, this is before Destiny said anything about you was pregnant. Next thing you know, I find out that my son come telling me that she told him that she pregnant. How is that? You just came around 2 weeks ago? And he was messing with another girl at the time.
One mother pointed fingers at the other fired right back. It wasn't just about paternity anymore, it was about parenting, responsibility, and two young people who had played a dangerous game, one that led to an innocent child being caught in the middle.
Here for it to get this DNA.
It's not my grandbaby.
Okay, don't claim him. You ain't claim him in 8 months. Don't claim him now. Y'all ain't did nothing for him. I've been taking care of this baby. They don't do nothing for him.
That's a lie.
They don't do nothing for him.
Sure don't.
All right.
It's not my
And at the
grandbaby.
end of the day,
It's
when
not
it
my
became-
grandbaby.
Ladies.
My daughter had
Then, there was the pregnancy bombshell. Destiny, convinced from the start that Anthony was the father, had no doubts. But Ms. Riley wasn't buying it. She had seen Destiny with another boy around the same time. As far as she was concerned, the math isn't mathing.
Destiny, where were you and Anthony having sex? In her house?
Yes.
While Miss Riley was home?
Yes, Your Honor. She knew I was there because I get off work. Anthony would be like, my mom says you can come over, and I say okay. I would go over there. I would come in, say hi, Miss Brenda.
Destiny recounted how their unprotected intimacy led to pregnancy. According to her story, Anthony was ecstatic about the baby, and his mother had even given her guidelines and support, only to suddenly switch up on her.
Got you pregnant. How do you find out?
I had my period. I ended up throwing up. Anthony said, you should go to the hospital because I think you're pregnant. I went and they said I was pregnant. When I found out, I went to her house. And when I walked through the door and I had my papers.
When Anthony was brought to the court, he backed up Destiny's story, but the tensions continued. When the judge confirmed that Anthony was the father, Destiny and her mother began jubilating, and the judge lost it.
Mr. Taylor, you are his father.
Marcel Scott walked into the courtroom like he owned the place. Cool, calm, and confident. Maybe a little too confident for a man who had just been exposed to fathering 7 kids with 4 different women. But today he was here to clear his name. Because according to him, there was absolutely no way he was the father of Miss Kalon's 4-month-old daughter.
Mr. Welcome back.
How you doing?
Now, you previously appeared in this court, determined that you now have 7 children by 4 women. You're here today denying you fathered the...
Miss Kalon, on the other hand, wasn't buying any of it. When she first told Scott she was pregnant, he had been excited, thrilled even. But just a few months before the baby arrived, poof, he was gone. No calls, no texts, nothing. And now, here he was, trying to wiggle out of responsibility.
Miss Kalon, you claim the plaintiff was excited when he found out you were pregnant, but only a few months before you gave birth, Mr. Scott disappeared.
Number, everything.
You are...
Scott, with a smirk that was just begging to be wiped off his face, had his own version of events. He and Kalon had met online and chatted for a few weeks, and when she finally visited him, they had a good time. But here's where it got ugly, really ugly. That very first night, while she slept peacefully beside him, Scott got suspicious. Why? Because her phone hadn't rung all day. So, what did he do? Oh, just the most rational thing ever. He hacked into her phone.
Please share with the court how... in a relationship with the defendant?
Well, Your Honor, start off with, we chatted for about 3 weeks, I'll say 3 weeks to a month, something like that, so she came to visit.
Inspector Gadget, indeed, this man had memorized her passcode, unlocked the phone while she was sleeping, and gone full detective mode. And what did he find? Messages, men, evidence that in his mind proved she was seeing other people.
So I went through her phone, and prior to us being together, conversating, conversing, I see that she had other texts from other men.
But you weren't in a committed relationship, right?
No, not at that time. No, at the time she,
Kaylon was livid. She fired back, saying she had never been with another man during that time. And as for Scott's little stunt with her phone, oh, she wasn't surprised. The way he carried himself, the way he talked, she knew this wasn't a man looking for the truth. This was a man looking for an excuse.
Lon, I gotta come to you. What do you have to say about his accusation?
He is a lie. I think he believes his own lie, for real. I mean, this is like crazy. I don't know where
how did it for you?
Okay, so I met him.
At this point, the courtroom was buzzing, but Judge Lake, she was already done with him. Trust issues? She leaned forward. How could a man with 7 kids by 4 women, who by the way was previously married while running around with multiple partners, be the one with trust issues? Boom, silence.
We established previously that you had a wife or ex-wife, whatever you like to, during the time in which you were sleeping with that person, as well as
this person and that.
And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse for him, it did. Because then he brought up pictures. Allegedly, he had seen photos of other men's body parts on her phone. The courtroom gasped. Kaylon's jaw dropped.
What do you have?
Okay, I went through her phone. There was pictures of male parts, okay? Of other male parts, and it was she was like, well, I'm finna go to Lancaster to visit a friend.
Scott wasn't backing down. He claimed that after his little midnight investigation, he just knew Kaylon had been with someone else. And even though they were together, even though they were intimate more times than anyone needed to know, he still wasn't convinced that baby Ezra was his.
And he says, oh, I can't wait till you come issue too. Why? I'm not your friend. If I'm your dude, I'm your man.
Let me get this straight. Miss Kalan, now you're in a part of relationship.
And then came the results. The courtroom fell silent as the envelope was opened. Scott is about to find out he has 8 kids, or not. Judge Lake, with a look that said, I already know how this is going to end, read the results aloud.
Mr. Scott, you are not.
Ms. Richardson claims that her relationship with the defendant was exclusive, and they even tried to have a baby. But after the baby was born, the defendant, Mr. Smith, started to deny the baby, claiming that he was not the father. Mr. Smith, on the other hand, says that he was not in town during the window or conception. The case begins like this.
Ms. Richardson, you say you were in an exclusive relationship with Mr. Smith and even tried to have a baby together. But after you conceived your daughter, Kalani, Mr. Smith started denying your baby. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
You intend to prove he is the father today. Mr. Smith, while you admit to having a relationship with Ms. Richardson, you say you were not in town during the window of conception and claim to know who the father is. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
What? Were they in some kind of fairy tale movie? I am confused. Ms. Richardson says that Mr. Smith told her that he was not sure he was going to live for long at the time, and he wanted his dying wish to be that she have his baby.
Mr. Smith, you wanted to leave a piece of yourself behind. Where did you think you were going? What was happening in your mind?
I wasn't really thinking. Well, she was like, she have baby fever.
No.
And I was like,
not at all. I did not have baby fever. I was only 19 years old.
She was talking to me the whole time on the bus, saying, oh, she got baby fever.
That was actually him.
And I basically was like, well.
Oh, he can't be serious. What does he mean by he doesn't know? Apparently they don't agree on the same story. Mr. Smith tells the judge that they had the baby because Ms. Richardson was having it, and they both agreed that they wanted to have a child together.
Richardson, I can't let you go any further unless I just have a moment with you.
Okay.
Baby, you cannot have babies by everybody you feel like you fall in love with. I can see, we about 3 minutes in, and I can see that you decided you had fallen in love with him, and from there on, everything you heard come out his mouth.
Ouch. Man, I love Judge Lauren when she puts on her serious face and gets down to business. She tells Ms. Richardson that Mr. Smith never really wanted to be with her long term, and if you ask me, I'd say that's true because he seems to be very nonchalant about the whole thing.
You tell him you're pregnant. What is his reaction? Now, you say he wanted this baby. What was his reaction?
He was quiet on the phone, and he had asked to see the The pregnancy test.
And so, Mr. Smith, when you got this news that she was pregnant, was it the news you wanted to hear? Were you excited about having a baby, or what were you feeling?
I actually was excited.
You were excited?
Yes, ma'am.
There's a high chance that Mr. Smith might have it all wrong in his head. Ms. Richardson says that he was pretty happy when he initially heard about the baby, and he confirmed that. Now he says that he felt she found someone else, and that's why he has doubts.
When she did tell him about it, he was excited about it to a certain extent. At first he didn't.
So he was excited?
Yeah.
And you remember this?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, go ahead.
At first he didn't tell me that he had any doubt about anything. It just, progressed, I guess, with him even more when the pregnancy got further along, and she, her attitude is very, very vicious.
Sitting in his lap, maybe Mr. Smith is not overreacting after all. His twin sister steps up to the podium and tells the judge that she heard voicemails where she would say things that would make Mr. Smith feel like he was not the father of the child.
What this picture is, it's a picture of Kalani, and it's a picture of me when I was 4 months old. And with Bobby, me and him being twins, I feel like she should look like me to a certain extent. And she has the big eyes, I'll give her that.
Just like her
mother.
mom.
But as far as the lip and the things of that nature, I just don't see it.
Her man crush Monday? Okay. There are definitely things that Ms. Richardson has not talked about. Mr. Smith's twin sister says that another reason she does not feel the child belongs to her brother is because the baby doesn't look like her or her brother.
About a spite to make him upset.
This is a still of the video you submitted.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Definitely.
That is her godfather. If he chooses to kiss her on the forehead, that's not the lips, on the forehead.
If you can read, if you can see the video, ma'am, if you can see the video, honestly, your opinion of a godfather, that's not it.
There's no lie in that. The moment you make a man feel like he is not the father of the child, or you tell him that the baby does not belong to him, there's honestly no going back. He is going to think about it till proven otherwise.
Mr. Brock,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you for joining us today.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to know, what is your relationship exactly with Ms. Richardson?
I'm gonna keep it real with you. I would die for Brianna, and I'll take my last breath for that little girl up on the screen right there. And that's my goddaughter. And it's just because I've built that relationship with them that quick. We've told each other things that I have told nobody else.
I mean, they are all literally kids, and they are already having old people problems. Mr. Brock, the pressure godfather, walks into the courtroom and tells the judge that he would do anything for Ms. Richardson and her child. They are about to give Judge Lawrence some serious headaches.
Where you are establishing these intense emotion, feelings, and connections, and yet you don't have the maturity to recognize the complicated familial connections that are now formed, unformed, and affected because of the way you all are conducting yourselves in these relationships.
Well, they definitely pissed her off. Where were their parents when all of this was happening? Whew. Let's get to the results and put an end to this situation of kids having kids, shall we? Who do you think the father of the child is?
The biological father is Mr. Smith.
Ms. Beauville says that 2 years ago, she and her mother were shocked when the man she always believed to be her father told her that he was not her biological father. She tried to bring him to court a few months back, but he refused. Now he is in court and she hopes to find out the truth today. Here's how her case starts.
Ms. Beauville, 2 years ago, you and your mother were shocked when the man you always believed is your dad told you he is not your biological father. You tried to bring the defendant to paternity court 6 months ago, but say he backed out of his appearance. Now that he is here, today you state the DNA results will finally prove your case. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
He kept a secret for 20 years? 20 good years? Wow. It better be one hell of a secret because 20 years is a very long time. What's surprising is that Ms. Beauville's mother does not even know about the secret. Imagine that.
2 years ago, I received a phone call from another brother of mine stating that my dad had doubts that if he was my father or not due to activities that happened before I was born. That was during Thanksgiving on a holiday weekend. And
Can you be more specific? You say activities. What kind of activities?
He felt like my mom was unfaithful.
Wow. So basically, Mr. Beauville, the supposed father, didn't actually tell her that he felt like she was not his daughter. It was her brother who told her that her father wanted to get a DNA test done to be sure that she was his daughter. That had to be traumatizing realizing at such a young age.
Miss Duval, what in the world are you thinking when your daughter gets this call?
I was in shock. I had no clue that he ever doubted that Carrie was his daughter. Carrie was devastated.
Even her mother couldn't believe it when she heard the news. It came like a shock to her because all her years of being with Mr. Boville, he never made her feel like she had doubts or felt like he was not her father.
What what got you to this point? What led you to this point where you said, I have to talk about this?
Okay, well, when I first met Regina, I lived in Boston. Regina lived in Springfield. And when I relocated from Boston to Springfield, the first 2 weeks I got there, people I didn't even know was telling me, yo, this guy's talking about that's his woman.
Damn. 10 years is a pretty long time for something like that to be going on. Mr. Boville says that when he went to visit Ms. Duval when they were still together, people would tell him that she had another man who used to come visit, and that was the man she really wanted.
There is no truth to none of this.
What he just said?
Yes, let's start there. Second of all, Mr. Boville, if you doubted me, if you did not trust me, why did you stay? If you felt like that all those years, you should have left.
This is not going to be an easy case to settle. Mr. Boville says that Ms. Boville looks exactly like one of the other man's granddaughters. He claims that they look so identical. What bugs my mind is why he waited for 25 years to come clean about how he actually felt.
Never share them.
The things that went on before Carrie was born, the relationship they had, because her and this person I'm talking about, they did, after everybody was telling me to keep my eyes on them, watching them, now I'm watching them too. They used to disappear all the time. Oh, he's my wish partner, he was my best friend before you came.
Well, she is pissed, and she's not hiding it. Ms. Duval tells the judge that she won't sit and allow Mr. Boville to tarnish her family's image because of scenarios he has built in his head. She even says that it's a normal thing for members of her family to look alike.
One else during that time?
No, ma'am.
Where there could be another potential father for this beautiful young woman?
No, ma'am.
At the end of the day, in paternity court, that's the question we have to answer. Now, what is interesting is in the court papers, I found her birth certificate. Now, on her birth certificate, there is no father listed.
It's very weird that he actually didn't sign any of his children's birth certificates. What kind of father does that? Or does he want to say that he doubts he is the father of all his other children? Ms. Duval even says that she told him time after time to sign the certificates, but never did so.
Being Carrie's father.
Yes, he did.
What
When
did
I moved
he
to
say?
South Carolina, he gonna say, that's my baby. That's my baby. See what I'm saying?
About Carrie.
Yeah, see, I would say, you know how, about Carrie. That's my baby. That's my baby.
That is a lie straight from hell.
I feel if anybody asks her that question again, she might actually hit them in the face. Ms. Duval tells the judge that she never slept with any other person aside from Mr. Boville. Mr. Boville says the other guy who might be the father told him that Ms. Boville was his baby.
Because
How can you say that in court? You have never been over. You have never been a father. Stop lying like you have.
I gave you.
You have never.
Don't talk over her, Mr.
You have never.
All right.
You came to graduation. You ain't come to mine.
I feel it's too late for him to apologize. Ms. Boville says that he has never been a father to her, and she has never felt his presence in her life. The fact that he has been absent has made both she and her brother suffer very much.
He was in jail, so that was the only thing I got to see him. I went a couple of years ago. My aunt that lives in Massachusetts brought me there for Christmas, and I went and stayed with my sister, and I went and visited him. And I spent the day with him.
Looks like Ms. Boville is the only adult who's speaking sense. Yeah, aside from Judge Lauren, of course. One thing we know for sure is that she is hurt by the whole situation. Let's see if the results are going to clear some of that pain.
Mr. Boville, you are the father.
Mr. Hunter is in court today because he says that there is no way he fathered the defendant's son. He says that the defendant is only saying that he did it because of the financial security that he provides. Could he be lying? Let's find out. Here's how their case begins in court.
Mr. Hunter, you opened your case in paternity court because you say there is no way you fathered the defendant's son, Josiah. You worry she's only saying you did because of the financial security you provide for her. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
If that's the case, why then is he starting to doubt that he is the father? Mr. Hunter explains to the judge that everything a father should do for a child, and the mother he does perfectly. I wonder how they got themselves in this situation.
So take me back to this how this relationship started. Where did you meet?
Well, we lived on the same street. I met him when I was 15.
We both was in a relationship, then we both became single. I invited him over to my birthday party, and he offered to pay for the booth at the party and offered to buy the cake.
I mean, that's actually very refreshing. It's rare that you see a man be good to a lady just because he wants to be good to her. Mr. Hunter and Ms. Holden were initially single. They met at a party, he bought drinks, and things pretty much kicked off from there.
Dating? How did this happen?
The night of the party, we both was intoxicated.
Oh,
I invited him over, and he came over,
Yeah, but that
and
night,
one thing led to another.
That night we didn't sleep.
Yes, we did, Your Honor.
Well, that's interesting. That's the second thing they are going to be disagreeing on. The first one was that Mr. Hunter said that they did not have sex on the first night, while Ms. Holden says that they did. Now, Ms. Holden says that they didn't use protection, while Mr. Hunter says that they did.
Were you using protection with that friend?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so when you find out you're pregnant, you got one friend that you dating that Mr. Hunter is aware of, and now you've also made this friend, Mr. Hunter, into a sexual partner. When you get pregnant, who do you tell?
Mr. Hunter.
Oh, wow. Looks like he wasn't happy about the baby initially. Mr. Hunter says that their relationship was never committed because he knew she was sleeping with someone else. Ms. Holden also says that when she told him that she was pregnant, his reply was that she broke his heart because he didn't want any more kids.
And I told him that I do apologize.
You told me it could be.
Well,
It could.
Well, I told him he could be the father.
Right. I could be.
Oh, could. In this courtroom, could is an action word because that means there could possibly be another father.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
At least he is being honest about how he felt. Mr. Hunter explains that when Ms. Holden told him that he could be the father, he felt some type of way because he has been in similar situations with other women, and it just felt like deja vu.
Ms. Holden, did you know Mr. Hunter had doubts all this time?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Did you invite him to the hospital for the birth?
No, ma'am.
You didn't?
No, ma'am.
This is confusing. Now, you paying for everything, but you don't want to get attached because of your previous paternity situation.
Right.
I can't be the only one who thinks that's very weird. Even the judge can't seem to hide how surprised she is. I mean, he paid for everything. He dropped her off at the hospital. He loves the child like his own, and for some reason he didn't want to be there when the baby was born. Something ain't right.
This is Josiah's birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hunter, is that your last name under?
No, ma'am.
Whose last name is that, Ms. Holden?
The other guy.
The other guy.
So wait a minute. Mr. Hunter dropped you off at the hospital. You gave birth to the baby and named the baby after another man.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, that evidence had better add up. Ms. Holden says that she put another man's name on her child's birth certificate because she had 2 different dates from the doctor, and she has evidence to back that up. Well, let's see what the evidence is.
I explained to you.
Yes, please explain to me,
Yeah.
Ms. Holden. You brought a calendar.
Yes, ma'am.
Step up to the calendar, please.
In November the 15th, this is when I slept with Mr. Hunter. I went to the doctor. My first due date they gave me was August 2nd.
Okay.
And then I went back to the doctor and they gave me August 9th, and I slept with the other man on the 18th.
Well, the evidence does add up. She explains that her due dates changed, and what makes it tricky is that the period difference between when she slept with Mr. Hunter and the other guy is just 3 days. Now I get it.
Heard her explain that story. Did you feel more convinced that Josiah was yours?
No, Your Honor.
You didn't?
I feel like it's more of a financial than anything because you got the dates they're all mixed up.
Right. I mean, and truth be told, I've done this long enough to know, even with Josiah coming 3 weeks early, if you sleep with 2 different men 3 days apart, unprotected.
There's no lie there. The only thing that can make a man emotional in paternity court is if he has built a lovely bond with the child in question. Oh well, the results are in. Let's see if Mr. Hunter's money has not been going to waste.
Mr. Hunter, you are not the father. So very sorry.
Sorry.
Ms. Toure is in court to prove to her ex-boyfriend, Mr. Lacey, that he is the biological father of her grown son, Trevon Lacey. She says that Mr. Lacey has been absent from the boy's life, and she wants him to be present regardless of the fact that he is grown. The case starts off like this.
Ms. Toure, you are in court to prove to your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Lacey, that he is the biological father of your adult son, Trevon Lacey. You state that the defendant has been an absentee father full of excuses, and you want it all to end today in court with the truth.
Yes, Your Honor.
Where clearly there has to be proof. Mr. Lacey says that he has always known that he was not the father to her son. The judge then proceeds to ask him if he signed the birth certificate, and he says that he didn't. As you would expect, Ms. Toure counters that by saying that he did sign the birth certificate.
Your Honor, I could not have signed the birth certificate. I was incarcerated at the time Trayvon was born.
So this birth certificate, child's name, Trayvon Lacey's father's name, Larry Lacey, but it's typed in. Was he present at the birth?
He was not present, no.
You basically just gave them his name.
I gave him his name.
And they typed it in.
Yes.
Technically, that is not the same thing as him being present to sign the birth certificate. If we're being honest, Mr. Lacey says that he was incarcerated at the time and he wasn't around to sign the birth certificate, and the evidence clearly shows that.
Mr. Lacey, when did you find out that she claimed you were Trayvon's biological father?
I say Trayvon probably was about between 3 and 6 months years old. I received court paper to go to the state of Ohio child support court, and me and Miss Torre, we did both appear at the child support court. When I walked into the court, the judge, he looked at me, he said, "That's your son."
Whew. You can see that Ms. Toure is ready to fight Mr. Lacey on all levels. She tells the judge that Mr. Lacey was given the opportunity to get a DNA test done to determine if he was the father of the child. He refused and signed the court papers indicating that he was the father.
But Your Honor, I want to put this to bed. I'm tired of reliving this. You know, okay, I made a mistake. It wasn't even a mistake. I was just living on my own. He just keep throwing this man in my face over and making my son feel bad. I'm ready to put it to bed. That's what I want to do and get on with our life.
Right.
Your Honor, my intentions is not to make Trayvon feel bad, nor is my intentions to make Miss Torre feel bad.
That is very true. One thing I like is the fact that both parties recognize the fact that there's a paternity issue that needs to be resolved. The big question is how they found themselves in this mess to begin with.
It's that you owe
$37,200
and some odd dollars in child support, which you have
knocked it down to $5,000.
You've got about $5,800. It's past due. You paid all of that. So throughout these years, you've paid.
I've been paying off and on. You know, sometimes during them years I was unemployed. As soon as I find employment again.
That's very unfair. Mr. Lacey explains that he has been paying child support, and the judge commends him for that. But he also says that Ms. Lacey went and told the other guy about her son, and he said that he wasn't the father. She just took the news like that and didn't bother to properly ascertain if that was true.
Okay, I met Miss Torre. I was on the city bus, and she was on the city bus, and she had her oldest son to walk up to me and give me a piece of paper with a phone number on it, okay? So when I looked at the phone number, I'm wondering who is this? So I turn around and I'm watching where the, child goes. The child went back and he sat next to.
If ladies of this modern age acted that way, I'm pretty sure there won't be a lot of men out there. Ms. Toure says that the first time she saw Mr. Lacey, she liked him, and she sent her eldest son to give him a piece of paper that had her phone number on it.
He decided to move in with me. Well, at this time, my first time I had sex with Mr. Lacey, he got me pregnant, but I didn't know it at the time. So Mr. Lacey, talking about he left and went out of town, he just disappeared, Your Honor. He disappeared. I don't know where he went, but later on down the road, as time revealed, he was living a double life. It was another woman in the neighborhood.
Everything sounds so confusing. It's so hard to even understand what Ms. Toure is trying to explain. She initially said that Mr. Lacey moved in with her. She changes the story and now says that he had sex with her and just disappeared. I mean, which is it?
When I came back into town, I knock on the door, and the door open. Well, I see my pajamas. My pajamas. Miss Torre has on the pajama top.
That is not true to me.
The gentleman has on the pajama bottom.
Your pajamas.
My pajamas. I didn't argue. I didn't fuss. I didn't create no drama. I didn't fight. I didn't do anything. I turned around. I told my cousin, I said, "Come on, let's go."
Phew. They sound like two ladies who just want to argue all day. I'm pretty sure Judge Lauren is tired of their drama. Oh well. Mr. Lacey says that when he got back from his trip, he paid Ms. Toure a visit and he saw another guy shirtless with his pajamas on.
I had my clothes on.
No, you did not.
So pajamas or no pajamas? Were you intimate with this guy? You said it's your new friend.
I was intimate, yes. But I just moved in town. I got my new apartment. I was feeling all grown in my apartment, doing grown stuff in my grown.
How soon after he walks in on you in pajama and did you find out you were pregnant?
She seems to be very certain that the child actually belongs to Mr. Lacey. She does admit to sleeping with the other guy, but she says that she knows Mr. Lacey is her son's father. Mr. Lacey doesn't believe he is because he was only intimate with her for a month.
Do you have something you'd like to say to the court?
Yes, I want to start off by saying my mom, she was, an excellent mother. She raised 3 boys by herself, all at different ages. So I want to give her, kudos for that. I believe I done turned out okay. I also want to go on to say that, Larry's absence in my life definitely affected me in a negative way. Growing up, it was tough.
That sounds horrible. Judge Lauren finally gets Trevin to talk, and he starts off by appreciating his mom and always being there for him. He also explains that not having a father made him go in the wrong direction, and that made him start having sex at a young age.
I want to let you know that, and I'm just ready to get these results so we can move forward in our lives.
When you hear that, Mr. Lacey, how do you feel?
It makes me feel good, and it also makes me feel a little sad, because during the time that I wanted to be in Trayvon's life, Khadijah didn't want me around. I never had hatred toward Khadijah for what she done.
And there they go again with the arguing. It's a miracle that these two were able to be in the same room and make a baby. Mr. Lacey says that Ms. Toure didn't allow him to be as close as he wanted to be with her son. I think we've seen enough. Let's get down to the results.
Mr. Lacey, you are the father.
Thank you, Your Honor. I told you.
Mrs. Smith says that she has been waiting all her life to hear the truth. She claims that she is tired of the defendant's back and forth as it pertains to paternity. She has opened her case today to prove that the defendant, Mr. Lewis, is her biological father. Mr. Lewis claims that years of doubt have caused him to question paternity. Their case begins like this.
Miss Smith, you say you've been waiting your entire life for the truth and opened your case to prove that Mr. Lewis is your biological father. You claim you are tired of his back and forth as it pertains to paternity and hope today's results will prove what you already know. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
He didn't sign her birth certificate? Wow. His doubts must be really intense for him not to sign her birth certificate. But how is it that she got to believe he was her father all this while, only for her to find herself in paternity court to prove that?
When you hear Ms. Smith speak like this, what's your response?
Your Honor, first of all, her mom, me and her, we got to dating. Wasn't no relationship going on. It was just a hit and quit thing. That's all it was.
But there's a whole bunch of people here in this world from a hit it and quick, because you can make a baby right quick.
Right quick, that's true.
Mr. Lewis seems to be very certain that she is not his daughter. He tells the judge that he had a hit and quit thing with her mother and they never actually got into a relationship. But we can't deny the fact that when he says that Mrs. Smith is not his daughter, it breaks his heart.
Oh, I got a baby. I'm a real man. I go and see my ex-wife right there. Me and her, we was together. We went up there to see what was going on. When we went up there, I remember good as day. When we went up there, there was a conflict going on between Liz and her mother, okay? So, at that time, Brittany she was about 3 days old, 3 or 4 days old.
Honestly, that's really commendable. Shows that Mr. Lewis is actually a good man. He explains to the judge that he took Ms. Smith to his house because he did not want her to get into the system, because her mother dealt with the system at the time.
The neighborhood, bro.
Hold on.
Excuse me.
Let's be respectful.
Excuse me.
And I just don't understand for him to sit here today or stand here today and take a child that you don't think that's yours. Why would you even do that?
I had Brittany, like I said, she was 4 days old until Brittany got about 10, 11, off and on because her mother would come get her.
Man, that's crazy. After taking her into his home, Mr. Lewis took care of Ms. Smith from when she was about 4 days old to when she was 11 years old. That's 10 years of him being her father. Now you can understand Ms. Smith's pain when she hears him say that he is not her father.
Him trying to be a fake father to me. My whole life.
Fake father.
Why do you say a fake father? Explain. I see the
Because 1 minute he was there and the next minute he wasn't, like he was a ghost. I just don't understand how you can take somebody and treat them like they're your daughter sometimes and then the rest of the time they're not.
Because your mother should have
And
came
he always
forward.
he always stood me up.
I don't even know what to believe at this point. Mrs. Smith says that she remembers Mr. Lewis being a fake dad to her, and he was never really present in her life. Even when she tried to get a DNA test to find the truth, Mr. Lewis refused to follow through.
And Your Honor, you tell me.
You
look at her and you tell me.
This is a photo of a man?
Yes. That's the man that's the man. Yeah, tell me about it, Your Honor. Yeah, tell me.
You believe this is her biological father?
That is her father. You know why I say that? Because that's for the simple fact, because I caught him and her mom having sex.
His great-great-uncle? Oh my goodness. That's one heavy truth bomb. Mr. Lewis submits his evidence to the court, and it's a picture of a man who he claims is Ms. Smith's face. He believes that the man in the picture is her father because he caught the man and Ms. Smith's mother having sex.
Family house. The door was cracked. It was open. I walk in. The bed is sitting right there, right in front of the door. Small apartment. Smacking. They getting it. Next thing I know, he hear the door open. He turn around and look and see me. She raised her head up. All I did was look and shook my head and walked out.
That's actually insane. Imagine walking in on your uncle having sex with the woman he's supposed to have a relationship with. Wow. My jaws would honestly drop if I walked into something that insane for real.
You agree with Ms. Smith's testimony that you were inconsistent raising her. She said sometimes you were there, sometimes you ghost.
Yeah, that's true.
Why is that? Was
Yeah.
it because of the doubt?
It was because of the doubt, and plus I was in and out of town. I stayed in Cleveland. I got family in Georgia, moved down here to Georgia, you know, so yes, I was gone.
Nothing is changing his mind from the fact that he still believes the man in the picture is her father. Mr. Lewis doesn't deny the fact that he was in and out of Ms. Smith's life, though. He says that he had doubts, and he also was doing a lot of traveling.
To ask you, what do you know about this case?
He had brought me his daughter. He told me he had a daughter. And I seen Brittany for the first time, and I said, wow, she looks just like you.
And just to be clear, you are Mr. Lewis's ex-wife.
Yes, I am. And I start, consuming that what he said, this was his daughter. So I took care of her for a long time.
Mr. Lewis is on the hot seat now. His ex-wife, who happens to be one of Mrs. Smith's witnesses, says that when he brought Ms. Smith home as a baby, he told her that she was his child and she took care of her for quite some time before she split with Mr. Lewis.
Ms. Lewis, thank you for joining us. What's your relationship to Ms. Smith?
She is my sister, and the reason why I say that is because, my dad, he good at that, as in, he had a paternity test.
For the record, I just want to be clear, you are Mr. Lewis's daughter.
Oh, yes. That's my baby.
And Ms. Moore is your mother.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Wow. Even his own daughter says that Mrs. Smith is her sister, and she has always believed that in her heart. Oh well. Let's get to the results and put this to bed once and for all.
Mr. Lewis, you are not the father.
Oh, man. God. Ta-da. That's our father right there.
He is caught in the middle of two fiery moms in court today. On one side, there's his mother, Ms. McBirth, who is fed up with her son, Mr. Hughes, having so many kids. That's why she's denying his potential grandchild and insisting on a paternity test. What a wild situation.
This woman is trouble. She is trouble with a capital T. She, as a matter of fact, I call her the 3 T's. Trash, trouble, and trifling. That's what she is. The little boy looks nothing like my son or any member of my family at all. Can I show it? Can I?
Absolutely, ma'am. What did you bring?
Wow. What a woman. She actually brought a picture of the father and baby to court, claiming they don't look anything alike. Meanwhile, the ex-girlfriend is firing back, insisting that Ms. McBirth is just in denial and projecting her own feelings onto the baby's paternity.
So why do you think she's in so much doubt over your child?
I have no idea, to be honest. Maybe because he is so white?
Because he all the white. He ain't got no black in here. Everything I see got powder puff on it. I don't see no chocolate nowhere, okay?
No, ma'am.
Whatever.
Let me understand this relationship. So how long have you been in a relationship with Mr. Hughes?
Ms. McBirth. That was an incredibly racist comment. Does she not realize how unpredictable genetics can be? To say something like that in court is shocking. Sure, she might be frustrated with her son having kids left and right, but that's no excuse to be cruel to his baby mama. Uncalled for.
For maybe about 15, 18 months.
Okay, so a little over a year. Were you in a committed relationship?
I thought we was.
You did, okay. And was he the only person you were intimate with during that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Now she knows she lying. She lying.
Yes, ma'am.
This DNA right here has been in our life. She's never was a girlfriend. You are a vampire. You are just a fly-by-night. We didn't know anything about you. He's been in a relationship for 10 years.
And now we've got 3 wild women in court. Where did all this come from? Who is this lady? And why is she meddling in Ms. Jackson's business? If Ms. Jackson says she was in a committed relationship with Mr. Hughes, then just let her be. This is getting out of hand.
Thank you. A side chick.
And it's all she has done is she's been trying to put the baby on us.
Force it. Yeah, you have. Don't sit up and act like you haven't.
But the thing about her,
she trying to push that baby on. That ain't mine. I didn't sleep with her. That child is not ours.
When you say she's trying to push the baby on you, what do you mean?
She wants me to acknowledge that child.
So we got 3 wild women in court. Where did all this come from? Who is this lady? And why is she meddling in Ms. Jackson's business? If Ms. Jackson says she was in a committed relationship with Mr. Hughes, then just let her be. This is getting out of hand.
Tell me about the first time you met Elijah.
I seen him at the doctor's office where I was taking his real children to the doctor, and it was a newborn, and I walked past him, and I kind of glanced over there, and I seen this little white baby. I knew it wasn't mine, and I ain't had nothing else to say or do about it since then. She need to get that out of her head. That child is not my son's baby. Period.
Whoa, hold up. Look how this woman is ready to go head to head with Judge Lake. So many things are wrong with everything Ms. McBirth just said. First, his real children. She was taking her son's real children to the hospital.
I'm sick of all these little hookers trying to say my son is the daddy. I'm sick of it. I get babies dropped off here, dropped off there. I'm sick of it.
But
it stops today. Because that baby is not my son.
Here's the thing that she does.
It is.
Here's the
Sorry. That's a lie.
Yes,
No,
it's
it's a lie.
not.
That's a lie.
First of all, she's a liar because you just had a wild sex party that got shut down by the police station last week.
A sex party? And the police showed up? What on earth? But seriously, where was the baby during all this chaos? And someone needs to let Ms. McBirth know that her days of picking up babies aren't ending anytime soon. Her very mute son already has a small army of kids.
Miss McBirth, I have to ask you, you're very tough on Miss Jack. Do you have anything to say about your son's behavior?
My son has, I know exactly what type of person he is. He's just as trifling as she is. He's a handsome guy. He's my son. And I know what he do. But he's still, no matter what he do, he's still gonna be my son.
So hold on one second. Just take a look at the monitor.
You know Judge Lake isn't about to sit there and let these crazy moms run the show. She's up, asking all the right questions. Meanwhile, Ms. McBirth's son has been silent this whole time. No clue if he's even claiming the child. Unreal.
Do you believe you are Elijah's father?
I just gave him the benefit of the doubt because I'm biracial. My father's white.
That child is not my son's, okay? She got men coming and going in and out of her house.
My father's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed dude, so.
How you know? He just gonna say that because, she gonna freak him after this.
Yeah.
Wait, she married a white man? After all the racist comments, she still has the nerve to be like that about her potential grandchild? And considering her own family history is biracial, there's even more reason the baby could look white. Ms. McBirth is just proving how unreasonable she really is. After all the nonstop bickering, it's finally time to hear the results.
Mr. Hughes, you are Elijah's father.
Ms. Davies appears in the courtroom to prove that the defendant, Mr. Hunter, is the father of her son. He called off their wedding because of certain rumors of her past that have now made him believe that Ms. Davies has been fooling around with other men. Will Judge Lauren be able to solve their mystery? Well, let's see. Here's how it all began.
Ms. Davies, you say that after being with Mr. Hunter for 5 years, he's now given into lies and rumors about your past, scrapped your wedding plans, and is now denying your son Jaden. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Hunter, you say you've never fully accepted that Jaden is your son because Ms. Davies has a questionable past. In fact, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's not lie. That's a pretty smart move. No man wants to get married to a woman that they can't trust to be around their kids. Ms. Davies still hasn't answered the question Judge Lauren asked her. Why did it take her this long to come to court if her relationship has been rocky all this while? 5 years is a long time.
Well, Your Honor, we met like 5.5 years ago through a mutual friend. I would say that we were happy when we first got together, but then I started finding text messages, phone calls from other females. So at that point of the relationship, Your Honor, I no longer trusted him at all.
Well, I found messages in her phone too, same thing. So that's why I started doing the things I was doing.
Ow, she's even admitting to the fact that she actually did entertain other men. Interesting. She also says that it went both ways because she found out that Mr. Hunter was also being cozy in the DM with other women as well. A tit for tat kind of thing.
Now, once you did that, what happened?
Well, once I did, I briefly had a relationship with the guy. We were sexually together a few times.
Did you use
Why
protection?
she with me?
A couple times we did not, Your Honor.
All right.
What was she expecting him to do? Give her a hug and welcome her with open arms? Like that was ever going to happen. She just admitted to the judge that she was sexual with another man and did not use protection when they were kicking it in bed.
Okay, I couldn't say I was 100% sure at the time, but I wanted Devon to be the father because he has been there in my life for, at this time, we've been together like 2.5 years.
All right, so now we're getting honest now, and that's what we're here to do.
Right.
The truth is when you told him you wanted him to be, but you didn't know for certain.
Yes.
She's telling him one thing and now saying a different thing in the courtroom. And why am I not surprised? She initially told Mr. Hunter that she was 100% certain that he was the father. In the courtroom, she's now saying that she wasn't 100% sure he was, but she wanted him to be because they've been together for a long time.
Let me speak. One day, I'm at her house, right? She let me stay over her house. I had been drinking, so I wanted to go lay down, right? I accidentally fall asleep longer than I'm supposed to, so she's thinking I'm gone. She brings another guy and another girl upstairs into the room while I'm in there. So then she makes me leave.
That is true, Your Honor. That's true.
With that smirk and smile on her face, I guess we know the answer to that question. So Mr. Hunter caught her in the act of cheating on him with a guy and a girl. Wow, she must really love to have fun, that's for sure. What's funny is that this is different from the guy she admitted to sleeping with.
And she gets up and walks to the kitchen, and she's in the kitchen for like maybe 10, 15 minutes. She's supposed to came back already. I walk around to the kitchen, and she's damn near standing in between this guy's legs. Like, you know what I mean? What is that about?
What is this about? Because you say it hurts to hear you. You say, hold on now, Mr. Hunter, because you're not innocent. But I'm more concerned about Ms. Davies in this moment because she is the mother of this 4-year-old little boy, and we don't know who his father is.
Judge Lauren is right. We aren't going to pretend like Mr. Hunter is innocent or a saint in this situation. The fact still remains that everything he accuses her of doing, she admits to having done every single one of them. She carries most of the blame, so it's funny that she's crying.
Does not physically interact with Jaden.
Really?
Yes, Your Honor. We just had a birthday party for Jaden. Devon didn't show up.
Why didn't you show up at the child's birthday party, Mr. Hunter?
Cause she gonna start tripping on me and all kind of stuff. Cause we weren't, like at that time, she was mad at me anyway. So
Doesn't matter,
if I would've came to the party on her,
birthday party.
There he goes, giving a lame excuse instead of just admitting that he was wrong. What if it turns out that he is the father of the child? Does he think the child is not going to remember that he skipped the birthday party? That's sad, honestly.
The house
90%
of the time.
She would kick me out like every week.
Yes, because
every week.
I'm always finding text messages. You want to come home at 4 and 5 in the morning?
That happened like twice.
So yeah, I was kicking him out.
Twice too many.
I had good reasons though. I had a party. We was at a party.
When did a party become good reason to stay out 5 o'clock in the morning when you have a girlfriend at home?
Even Jerome knows better than to do that. The fact that it happened only twice doesn't mean it's something that should even be happening. Oh well, the results are in, and it's time to see if they're still going to be making wedding plans.
Mr. Hunter, you are not the father.
I told you.
I'm very sorry.
According to Ms. Jackson, only a fool would believe that Ms. Pickens' daughter, Shazia, is her granddaughter. Ms. Jackson is stepping in for her incarcerated son to contest Shazia's paternity. However, Ms. Pickens points out that these allegations are new because originally she had accepted her daughter.
First, if I can bring you into my reality.
I want to go in. Tell me what happened.
Came to my home with her mother, family member. Let me remind you, this child was already 4 months old. Even heard of this young lady?
Ms. Pickens showed up at Ms. Jackson's house with a 4-month-old to announce that her daughter belonged to Ms. Jackson's son. But according to Ms. Jackson, she had never even heard of Ms. Pickens before that day. That must have been a huge shock to her.
She don't know.
When I met him, I had a boyfriend.
Exactly.
Me and the boy stopped.
Hold on now, Ms. Jackson, let her speak.
I'm sorry.
You had a boyfriend.
Yes.
Will these women calm down? Ms. Pickens was with multiple partners at the same time, so it's understandable that Ms. Jackson has doubts. But why would you be messing around with another guy every single day while you were in a relationship?
Talk to me.
I was sorry. I'm just frustrated.
Understandably, this situation, nobody wants to find themselves. And however, if we're going to resolve it, we got to be able to talk about it.
Good one, Judge Lauren. They have to stop yelling at each other if they want this case to come to a reasonable conclusion. Let's keep going.
When did you change your mind and why?
When he pursued me, calling me and like, oh, well, that's my baby, this, that. So, I was
when
like,
you say he pursued you, you meant...
Okay, so Ms. Pickens has been playing the guessing game ever since she found out about her pregnancy. She initially thought the baby belonged to the other guy she'd been going out with after the affair with Ms. Jackson's son was over. Could that be a lie?
Because my son is claiming this is his child. I told my son, don't be a fool.
You're saying Ms. Jackson actually expressed interest and established a relationship.
Oh, Ms. Jackson is angry? She really did invite Ms. Pickens and her daughter over, but claims she only did that because her son accepted the child was his. She didn't, and she hasn't still. She doesn't see the resemblance Ms. Pickens says is there. She just wants the results to prove her right.
Mother connection.
You don't have a grandmother connection.
No.
Meaning when you look at the baby and that
this is my grandchild. I have children that I love dearly and take very good care of them. And not with this child, I can't. Okay?
So other than grandma too.
Some of Ms. Jackson's reasons are understandable, but grandma instincts? Never heard that one before. How do you expect to feel connected to a child whose mother you obviously dislike and are repeatedly trying to prove wrong? And what is this about Ms. Pickens faking a pregnancy?
That I lied.
Yes, no.
Why did you lie? Yes, I did lie because I was kind of hurt. I was hurt because
So you did it to get back at us.
Miss Pickens took her revenge plot too far, lying about a pregnancy and then claiming you had an abortion? What kind of revenge is that? How do you do this and expect the man and his family to trust you?
Was fathered by Miss Jackson's son.
To me, she looked just like hair, eyes. She does look like this little boy done lived with me for about a month because his mother put him back.
This is so messed up. Miss Pickens is only 19, yet she's involved in all this drama. And then, Ms. Jackson is a grandmother of 3 at just 37? These people are going too fast, sleeping with anybody and popping out babies like they are the easiest thing to make in the world.
And the only thing I can tell you is this. My son, he did say that this is his child, but a woman should know who the father of her child is, period. Period. It's not for come tell you, it's for you to know.
Truly, Ms. Jackson isn't wrong for thinking Shazia isn't her granddaughter, and Miss Pickens cannot put the paternity of her child on a man just because he says he is her father. It does not work that way. It's good that she's ready to accept Shazia if she's proven to be hers, though.
And you say her concern
It's more about me and Kevin's relationship than finding if that's Kevin's.
say this entire position she's taking is based upon the fact to destroy what you all have.
Basically.
Could Ms. Jackson and Aaliyah be right? Is Miss Pickens more concerned about their relationship than her child's paternity? We may never know the answers to these questions, but we do know what the DNA results say. Let's find out.
Mrs. Jack, you are her grandmother.
She had sex with his best friend and multiple men. At least this is what Mr. Gonzalez argues today in court. Ms. Salvo and Mr. Gonzalez were a match made in heaven, or so they thought. But today, these two cannot seem to agree on a single thing.
Your Honor, I can't stand him. He knows Amaya's his daughter, but he refuses to take care of him. I've never, ever had sex with any, I prefer black people. I don't like Hispanic men. I was intoxicated.
What an interesting revelation from her very first retort in court. She does not like Hispanic men, I see. Oh, Ms. Salvo, nobody asked about your sexual preference. If you're so particular about Hispanic men, explain the Hispanic baby in court right now. You were drunk, huh?
6 times, that's ridiculous. Good, so why would I keep going?
So you had sex with Mr. Gonzalez one time.
Yes.
Was protected or not?
It wasn't.
And so it is your contention that that sexual encounter is what made Amaya.
What a woman. She is right, though. It takes just one time. Now here's the question. Who's lying between them? Is it Mr. Gonzalez with his 6-time count or Ms. Salvo with her 1-time hit? Regardless of what it is, someone is definitely going to have a mountain of regret.
Is that the only reason you excluded your ex-boyfriend?
Yes.
Is because you felt like Amaya looked Hispanic and not black?
Too much of him. She looks way too much. She has one dimple just like he does. The shape of his eyebrows, that's him. Her nose.
Well, would you look at that? Every single time, one person in court always feels entitled to the semblance card. If Ms. Salvo thinks her baby belongs to Mr. Gonzalez simply because she looks like him, she really has no valid point, especially after having sex with other men. Who's to say that her ex-boyfriend does not have Hispanic ancestry?
My best friend over there to her house, 5 days later, I get in the car with my best friend. He's Hispanic, Puerto Rican. He tells me, I'm sorry, Julio, but I gotta
Whoa, she did what? Now why was Mr. Gonzalez's friend at her house? More so, how do the pictures exist if Ms. Salvo never takes naked pictures like she said? These pictures are suggestive, and Mr. Gonzalez has nothing to gain from lying about them. Now again, who is lying between these two?
18 or under. Yeah, I was a kid. I did everything with whoever at that time. I conceived at night. 18
So you had
under.
grown up that year?
Grown up. I wasn't grown up.
Whoa. Let's get one thing straight first. She was pregnant with her baby when she was what? The amount of teenage pregnancies on paternity court is absolutely alarming. Also, Ms. Salvo is admitting to being promiscuous. Now all that is left is to figure out which of them is lying.
This Mexican guy mad at me, looking mad at me like he want to fight me or something. The guy's so mad at me. Why he look like he want to fight me to be the baby daddy, but I tell him you're the baby daddy.
Oh my goodness. What are these stories about different men coming up at various intervals? Why is a random man from her elementary school coming into her life right now? If it truly was elementary school, why then did he want a baby by you? Damn.
I don't want her. It's not her fault she's here in this world. She's an innocent little girl. The baby used to come to my house. She used to eat in my house. My mom used to get her stuff, everything. I swear, my mom's not here, but my mom was here, she'll tell you.
Oh, what a woman. Bless her dear soul. She did all of that for the baby amidst the thick fog of doubt in the air that the baby may not be her son's. It really helps nobody when one person says one thing and the other person claims another story. Now that all of the fog is gone, we simply cannot wait to get the results.
To affirm the fact that you've been there and you do have a relationship. And if she is your biological child,
I would like to have weekends.
you're going to step.
Yes, ma'am.
What a guy. Now, we get to find out whose story holds water. From Miss Salvo denying all the cheating allegations to Mr. Gonzalez, claiming that his fiancée slept with 1 million men and some. Who made the mistake and who is going to regret their silly decisions?
Mr. Guns, it has been determined by that you are not the father.
Mr. Buchanan has a history of women lying to him about paternity, so it's no wonder he doesn't trust that his girlfriend's 6-month-old daughter is his, especially since she had an affair with his best friend. Mrs. Stembridge argues that it's this past experience that's fueling his doubts. The case begins like this.
Getting his beer, actually the day after I was incarcerated in a jail under false pretenses. They had the wrong person. And while we was in the car, he had bought some food and I said, I was eating it and he was like, why are you eating all my food? And I'm like...
While Mr. Buchanan was locked up, Ms. Stembridge and his best friend had a few drinks, and this pisses Mr. Buchanan off because he knows that their drinking would have transpired into something else, like sleeping together. In addition, he heard that the two of them were sneaking around while he was away.
I get a phone call from my ex, all right? My ex is who I was dating before her. All right, I get a phone call. I'm like, yeah, what's up? Okay. Oh, I need to check my girl. Nah, you need to check your girl. She was laid up in your best friend's bed while you were locked up.
Ms. Stembridge really brought the clothes to court? These people are hilarious. Instead of denying the allegations that she'd been cuddling up in bed with her boyfriend's best friend, she's trying to prove that her outfit wasn't inappropriate.
Use better language in the court. You walked in and saw what?
Booty in the air.
Look, better come up and show me. You have a diagram here.
I walked in.
Ms. McNeil has a whole diagram to show how she found Ms. Stembridge on this guy's bed. Isn't that funny and a little suspicious? First off, she made a diagram for this, and she's clearly way too invested in her ex's relationship. And also, is anyone else noticing how Ms. Stembridge has barely been asked a question or given a chance to speak? Feels a bit off, doesn't it?
She called Eric and said, hey, I'm coming over to pick something up. So why would I be bending over to bed like that?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because you
still wants him.
You don't remember.
No.
If given the chance, these women will tear into each other. But no one's even talking about the baby. It really feels like this case is more about Mr. Buchanan and his girlfriend's drama than it is about the paternity of his supposed child.
2 weeks later and she's pregnant. We took 3 of them. They all came back saying there's something growing in there, all right? I'm gonna tell you what, I love that little girl all my heart, all right? I love that girl. I don't care if Eric is the dad. I'm the father.
Under Mr. Buchanan's funny facade is a man who genuinely cares about his girl and child. He's hurt that he was cheated on, especially considering he had been wrongfully locked up, and it was with his best friend. Despite all that, he's still a present dad, and loves the baby no matter what.
That baby will not go to sleep unless she has me laying in that bed with her.
He is a great father,
You have tears in your eyes as you...
Yeah, that's my life.
If she's not your biological daughter, what will you do?
If it ain't mine, she gonna have to get a good lawyer is all I got to say. Because I'm gonna fight to take that child.
Well, we hope he doesn't have to fight for the baby, but before we get to the results, let's see how these two women solve their own fight.
You the one lied to him, but yeah, you got his back. That's funny.
It's funny, you the one that never
That's
had
why
my
you
back.
wanted to come to care of me.
Have a seat, Ms.
When you were still
McNeil.
pregnant.
Oh, he can go with you.
Miss Stembridge, why are you even engaging?
Oh, these women are crazy. Mr. Buchanan sure has a lot on his plate. There's no more time to waste. Let's get to the results already.
Mr. Buchanan, you are...
Thank you.
That's a blessing.
Ms. Cherry has never seen Mr. Johnson until today, yet she's certain he is her father. Mr. Johnson has his doubts, but understands how important this is to her, which is why he's here in court today. Let's hear from Ms. Cherry. Here's how the case begins.
Just looking for closure. I was adopted, within family, so I know who my mother is and everything, but I was adopted within family, and certain family members have always made the statements that just didn't love me, and that's why they gave me up.
This is so sad. Nobody wants to hear such a thing. It's the kind of thing that breaks down a person's spirit, telling them their parents abandoned them because they don't love them. After so many years, Ms. Cherry is here to get the closure she needs to move forward from the past hurt.
First of all,
to Jennifer in her journey, and I am her father because to me, over the years, it was told to me that I was her father. There was a member.
It's been an emotional roller coaster for Mr. Johnson. First, he was told he was the father, then told he wasn't. No wonder he was never sure enough to be part of Ms. Cherry's life. And for her, it's been a long time without a father. She's 33 years old.
My girlfriend was also pregnant, and she had left to go to Ohio. Jennifer's mother sent someone from the neighborhood with a note saying that she wanted to sleep with me, and she was in love with me. At this time, I had a few beers. Can't blame that on the alcohol.
Interesting way to hook up. Smooth, too. The fact that they had been together for only one night must be one of the reasons Mr. Johnson didn't and still doesn't believe he is Ms. Cherry's father.
Now she's pregnant. Do you find out?
Yes, I found out through the neighborhood. People in the neighborhood just were coming up to me and telling me, congratulations on your daughter, and I was saying, I'm having a son.
Oh, so then did you get wind of the talking about Miss Cherry's mother?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson admits he had unprotected sex with Miss Cherry's mother, Dee Dee, but didn't believe she was pregnant for him because of the mismatched timeline. He knew one woman was pregnant for him, though, and that was his girlfriend.
Well, I went to the hospital to visit my son who had been born, and when I got to the hospital, someone had said, are you here to see your daughter?
So again, you're getting this same feedback, like you have a daughter. Did you say, where is this baby?
Well, when I looked in the room, Jennifer's grandmother was home, and Dee Dee was laying in the bed.
It does seem harsh that Mr. Johnson never even came to see the baby. But in his defense, he says by then, he was told the baby wasn't his, and they claimed to already know who the father was. If this unnamed family member really knew the identity of Ms. Cherry's real father, why did they stay silent all these years?
Brett, not pursuing the opportunity to truly find out if Miss Cherry's your biological daughter.
Yes, I actually do regret it, but I try to reach out and find them. I did not have any names. I did go downtown in 2000 to try to get a blood test, but by that time, they said I would have to pay $700, in which I did not have at that time to take the blood test.
So, Mr. Johnson eventually regretted his actions and tried to find Miss Cherry and had run a DNA test but couldn't afford to. But a different version of the story was told to Ms. Cherry, which is that Mr. Johnson and her mom signed over their parental rights to her adoptive family. But guess what? Mr. Johnson says he never signed any such thing. Somebody is lying here.
I did a DNA ancestry and it linked me to cousins. I don't know my father or anything like that, so they asked me for the name. They came literally 10 minutes, was like, we couldn't find anyone with that spelling, but we found someone with this spelling. It was him, the only Perez Johnson in Pittsburgh that was on Facebook.
After all these years, Mr. Johnson finally sees some resemblance between them. But let's be honest, it's not like he ever tried to notice before. He never put in the effort to find her, while she spent so long searching for him.
The reason why I did submit to work all of her life is because even though I did not believe that she was my child, I knew there was a child out there in need and that probably needs someone someday to say that they care.
Ms. Cherry doesn't believe Mr. Johnson's pity story. If he had cared enough, he would have made an effort to find her at least, and not ship her off to family members as an adopted child.
I'm so sorry you had to grow up without a father, and I'm willing to do DNA for you, but I believe 99% you are. He's waited for you to contact Mr. Johnson. This doesn't sound doubtful. This says you believe 99% she is your daughter and that you've been waiting your whole life for her to contact you.
That was actually after I seen the pictures.
You've been waiting her whole life for her to contact you? What does that even mean? Couldn't you have contacted her? All of a sudden, because of some Facebook picture, you believe she's yours and are down for a DNA test. We can't help but feel for Ms. Cherry, who's had to go through all of these because her parents were careless. What an emotional and mature exchange.
My child questions who my parents, who her parents are, who her grandparents are from her dad. So when she's questioning me and say, well, mommy, where's your mom and dad at? What's your parents' names? Why don't we ever go see them?
I'm very proud of you to where you have brought yourself without a father or a mother, whether I am or am.
It's time to find out if these two are father and daughter with 3 decades of catching up to do. The results are in.
Mr. Johnson, you are not the father. I'm so sorry.
Mr. Lee was certain there was no way Giovanni was his son. He wasn't even entertaining the possibility. Ms. Brewington, on the other hand, had no doubts. In her mind, this wasn't even a discussion. They had history. They already shared a child. They were living together, sleeping in the same bed, doing everything that led to a baby. And now, he wanted to act like it never happened? Like those nights didn't count? Oh, he was in for a rude awakening.
Ms. Brewington, you are here to prove your 3-year-old son Giovanni is Mr. Lee's biological child, and you claim Mr. Lee has been a father to your son since the day he was born and is denying paternity because he wants to avoid paying child support. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
But Mr. Lee wasn't budging. He had his story, and he was sticking to it. According to him, they were just cohabiting, nothing more. Yes, they lived in the same house, but he swore there was no intimacy, no late-night entanglements, nothing that could possibly lead to a baby.
And you say you know 100% you're not the biological father of Giovanni.
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
I want to know why you have doubt.
At the time that Gio was conceived, we were not having no type of intercourse. We were not cool at the moment.
You don't believe you were working on the relationship at the time Giovanni was conceived?
No, not at all.
When Ms. Brewington told him she was pregnant, he shut it down immediately. Impossible, he thought. Not mine. He didn't just doubt it, he flat out denied it. He even made her take 3 separate pregnancy tests as if that would change the outcome. And yet, despite all that, he was so sure the baby wasn't his that he refused to acknowledge the pregnancy at all.
Take me back to the day you found out you were pregnant.
Okay, I found out that I was pregnant. I actually went to the doctor to just re-up on my birth control. They said, oh, you actually missed your last shot. I didn't even realize it. They said that they had to do a pregnancy test before they could go ahead with the birth control. So I went ahead, they did a pregnancy test. It came up positive.
Ms. Brewington remembered how he dismissed her growing belly, scoffed at her ultrasounds, and told people not to believe her. To him, she was just getting fat. Even when she went into labor, he still tried to deny it. But the moment Giovanni was born, something changed. The second he found out it was a boy, suddenly, he cared.
Throughout this pregnancy, as you prepared for the birth of Giovanni, was Mr. Lee present?
No, he was telling people I was just getting fat. He was like, she just eats a lot of fast food. Everybody was rubbing, my friends were rubbing my stomach. I'm showing ultrasounds to people. He's like, don't believe her, she's just fat. The entire time. I'm talking about, I'm going into labor. He's like, no, you're not.
Not only did he sign the birth certificate, but he insisted on naming the child himself, a complete 180th. So what was it? Guilt? A change of heart? A secret suspicion that maybe, just maybe, the baby was his after all? But now, standing in court, he had reverted right back to denial. The baby wasn't his. He only signed that birth certificate because it felt like the right thing to do at the time. Besides, they already had one child together. What was one more?
You signed the birth certificate, right?
Yes, I did.
If you had all this denial and you say she eating fast food and this isn't even a pregnancy, but then you get there and execute a birth certificate?
It was the right thing at that moment. We already had a previous child, like I said, so...
You just go around signing birth certificates.
What made the situation even more complicated was that Brewington had been absolutely certain from the start that Lee was the father. She even offered a DNA test in the hospital. But despite her certainty, Lee kept denying it, his excuses growing more absurd as the case went on.
And then, Ms. Brewington, it doesn't really make sense to me is why are you offering him a DNA test if you are 100% sure?
That was because I was 100% sure. If he has any doubt, you know, I carried the baby, I birthed the baby. If you have any doubts, go ahead. I don't mind making you look stupid. That's why I'm here now.
The courtroom was filled with laughter and disbelief as both sides continued their verbal sparring, each denying the other's version of events. The tension was clear. How could a woman be so sure about the father if she had no concrete proof? How could a man deny a child he'd been so closely involved with?
I had another reason I did not think that it was mine is one of her friends, a good friend of her, actually told me that I wasn't the father.
Really?
She told me that she knows
My friend
who's the father.
told him that because she wanted to sleep with him.
I'm still talking.
I actually caught them sleeping together.
What?
Ms. Brewington argued till she was exasperated. To her, this whole thing was ridiculous. They were together. They had been intimate. How could he possibly think this wasn't his child? Well, that's because she told him so. She has zero doubts.
Thought, it was a chance because I brought home DNA tests as well. He told me he didn't trust me to swab his mouth.
No.
He didn't trust me to put the correct DNA into the box.
No, it's a home test. Who does that? And she told me herself I wasn't the father, so...
I told him that in anger, Your Honor.
Multiple times.
Judge Lake had heard enough. She wasn't one to let inconsistencies slide. One minute, he refused to acknowledge the pregnancy, but then he rushed to the hospital and signed the birth certificate. Which was it? And then the results were in.
Mr. Lee, you are not the father.
Told you.
Hold up.
I already knew it. I told you.
Don't look at me like that. I don't know God's plan.
Who else?
Jermaine Benning had been here before, on Couples Court, where the truth about his partner's infidelity had come out, but nothing had prepared him for this. The nagging doubts, the whispers in the back of his mind, and the text messages that had nearly broken him, now he was here to face them head on.
Mr. Benning, you recently appeared in Couples Court and it was confirmed that the defendant cheated on you. This infidelity has caused questions regarding your 2-year-old daughter, Robin, and 6-month-old son, Jermaine Jr.'s paternity. Although you are hopeful that both are your children, you now have doubts. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Kayla Bodine, sitting across from him, wasn't having it. She was certain. No hesitation, no second guessing. As far as she was concerned, this entire thing was unnecessary, and she has evidence to back her case up.
Ms. Bodine, you claim you are certain the plaintiff is Robin and Jermaine Jr.'s father and have evidence to support your claim. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
For years, Mr. Benning believed Robin was his flesh and blood, a promise fulfilled after the painful loss of his mother when he was just 14. His bond with her has been a lifeline, deep, emotional, and unbreakable. He's been her rock, her daddy.
Mr. Benning, tell me about your relationship with your daughter, Robin, and how these paternity doubts are affecting you.
Well, first off, Your Honor, my mother passed away when I was 14 years old. She was my best friend. We spent every waking moment together. And after she died, it, left me hurt. I always wanted a daughter, and I promised I was going to take care of her.
But everything changed when Ms. Bodine, his partner, admitted to infidelity, a truth that now casts a shadow over both children. The man who once thought he had it all now stands before the court, consumed by the most gut-wrenching doubt. But Ms. Bodine insists that despite the cheating, Mr. Benning is the father.
You were pregnant at that time. Did you know there could be any other possibility?
No, Your Honor. I admit I did cheat, but for certain he's the father. We was together while I got pregnant with Robin, and I know for certain he's the father.
And then there was the moment he could never forget, the hospital room, the chaos of childbirth, the excitement of meeting his daughter for the first time, and right there, in the middle of it all, a message popped up on his phone, cold, unapologetic.
It happened during labor, Your Honor. I was in the hospital sitting across from Kayla as she was pushing this baby out, and I received a text from a guy telling me to leave the hospital because that's his baby and he needs to be there.
What?
I am in labor, like literally in the hospital, and I received a text telling me that the child that I'm waiting to come isn't mine.
His world had tilted that day, but he shoved the doubt down and buried it deep. He had signed the birth certificate anyway. He had told himself that love was stronger than any rumor, that fatherhood was more than blood. But now he wasn't so sure. Ms. Boudin says she has ruled the other guy out, but it wasn't just one guy, was it?
How do you know this other guy is not the biological father?
Because, Your Honor, I stood up and did the woman and the mother thing I had to do and got the other guy tested.
So you had a DNA test on the other guy already?
Yes, and he wasn't the father.
And you submitted those results to the court?
Yes, I did, Your
All
Honor.
right.
From the first minute, Mr. Benning had been on the brink of tears. This is clearly very emotional for him. 2-year-old Robin, 6-month-old Jermaine Jr., the loves of his life, the children he had poured his heart into. He had been there for every diaper change and every late night cry. But Ms. Bodine was also there telling him he is not their father.
As well as, Your Honor, anytime that something is wrong, I'm also reminded, oh, you're not her father. As soon as we start to argue, you're not her father. But if you need something, I'm
You
the father.
say stuff to hurt my feelings. Why
Have
can't
I
I do
ever
it
told
to
you that you're not the parent of your kid?
You can't. I pushed him out.
Ms. Bodine claimed she said those things to hurt his feelings. But it wasn't just about Robin. She had sent him messages after every little quarrel telling him that he is not Jermaine JNR's father. He had played them off, but now he needs to be sure.
You are just 100% certain?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Bodine says she is 100% certain. That doesn't make your doubt subside?
I don't trust the thing that really comes out of her mouth. I really don't. And to be honest with you, after all this has happened, depending on the doubts with Robin, I wouldn't know about my son as well.
But then, the moment of truth. The results for the 2 children are in. The tension in the room was unbearable. Mr. Benning was visibly shaking. Judge Lake could feel the weight of what she was about to say.
Mr. Benning, you are not the father.
What the?
For over 40 years, Mr. Fegan had carried a secret, a burden he could no longer keep. He believed, no, he knew, that Ms. Pinkston was his daughter, and today he was here to prove it.
Mr. Fagan, you're here to prove that Miss Pinkston is your biological daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim you kept this secret for 40 years, but now say the DNA will prove your case.
That's right, Your Honor.
But Ms. Pinkston, she doesn't share that belief. She stood firm, unwavering in her belief that the man who had raised her, the man she had called Dad for decades, was her real father. This stranger before her, a man she barely knew, no chance. And yet he sat there, insisting, pleading, confident that the DNA would confirm what her mother had told him all those years ago.
Miss Pinkston, you stand before me without any doubt that Mr. Fagan is not your biological father, and the man who raised you is.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Miss Pinkston, what upsets you most about Mr. Fagan's claim that you are his biological daughter?
Well, Your Honor, I met Mr. Fagan here when I was 16 years old. I never knew of him.
How did it come to this? A hidden affair, a whispered confession, and a tangled web of secrets. Mr. Fagan and Ms. Pinkston's mother had been co-workers, and well, one thing led to another. You know how it is. For months, they shared stolen moments, quiet rendezvous, and then the bombshell. She was pregnant, but instead of honesty, there was a pact. The secret would stay buried. After all, she was married, and her husband, he would raise the child as his own, never knowing the truth.
Why you believe Miss Pinkston is your biological daughter?
Me and Miss Pinkston's mother had an affair. We worked together at a plant. We got to know each other.
You spent a lot of time together.
A lot of time.
Worked a lot of hours together.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Did you know she was married?
Well, yes, at the time, it was wrong.
Ms. Pinkston grew up in a loving home, never questioning her parentage. Her father was her rock, her protector. Then, at 16, everything shattered. A casual visit to her mother's friend's house turned into a nightmare. And why? Because they thought she was dating a family member. That was the only reason they even told her.
The only reason why this all came out, for the cat to get out the bag, is when I was 16, they told me that Kenny was my father. The only reason why was because my mom thought I was dating one of his family members, and that's why they told me. But needless to say, it was not me, it's my sister that was dating his family member.
Oh.
The weight of that revelation crushed her. She refused to accept the man she loved, the man who raised her, was her father. No DNA test could change that. When he passed away years later, he left this world, never knowing the secret that had been forced on her. And now, standing here in court, she was still protecting it, protecting him.
Not want to believe it, or you just...
I didn't believe it.
She, to this day, Your Honor, she does not believe that. That's why
Did you ever talk to your father, the man you believe your father?
My dad passed away never knowing the secret. From the time I was 16 until I was 27, we never spoke of this subject. Ever.
Mr. Fagan, though, he had waited long enough. He watched from the shadows, always hoping for acknowledgement, yearning for the moment she would call him Dad. But it never came. Instead, he was just a visitor, a family friend, quietly watching his daughter grow up from a distance. And now, after decades of silence, he wanted the truth, needed the truth.
I never called my father because my father died. So it never felt right to call some other man dad when my dad passed away.
And I understood that, Your Honor. I did. It hurt me that she couldn't. And for all these years, I believe. I always thought he had some kind of inkling that I was.
For Ms. Pinkston, that was a terrible load to bear as a teenager, and the guilt of looking the man he called Dad in the eye, knowing what she knew continuously weighed her down.
From 16 to 27, never telling Mr. Pinkston that Mr. Fagan is supposed to be my dad. My dad died not knowing none of this.
Do you regret not telling him?
I do. I felt like if they had enough to tell me about it, how come they didn't just let everything out the bag? And
for Mr. Fagan, the feeling was the same. Ms. Pinkston is her only surviving child. He couldn't bear to not be with his supposed daughter and just watch from afar. So after Ms. Pinkston's dad died, he told her children that he was their grandfather, creating instant chaos. To verify Pinkston's claims, the court called her sister to testify.
If you can hold it for 43 years, you should have just left it alone. Now there's family that didn't know. It just hurts.
Did you ever overhear anything?
Yeah, as a young kid, when grown up doing grown-up things, and if they're with their friends, and sometimes people just talk and they think kids are back in the background.
Judge Lake took it all in. The emotions, the tension, the heartbreak in Miss Pinkston's eyes. She understood, but this wasn't about feelings. It was about facts, and the DNA held the answer.
Mr. Fagan, you are not her father.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Lord, no.
Mr. Holmes wasn't buying any of it. He had no doubts. No way this grown woman standing before him was his daughter. He had been dragged into this courtroom over a claim he never asked for, a responsibility he never acknowledged. But Ms. Alston, she was certain.
Ms. Alston, you've come to court to prove to the defendant, Mr. Holmes, whom you first met at the age of 15, that you are his biological daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Holmes, you say there's no way she's your child, and today the DNA will prove your case. You say her biological father is David Alston, the man who is on her birth certificate and paid child support for her.
She had grown up believing another man was her father, a man whose name was on her birth certificate, a man who had paid child support for her. But one conversation had upended everything. Her mother had pointed to Mr. Holmes and said the words that changed everything. And ever since that moment, she had held on to that truth despite his doubts, despite his distance.
How you first found out the defendant might be your father?
Well, Mr. Alston and my mom were married, so as a child, it all started there. I grew up in a home with my mom with my 7 siblings. So one summer I was going outside to play, and my mom was outside talking to a guy, and when I walked up, he was like, tell her. And she looked at me and said, this is your uncle.
Her voice was steady, but there was pain behind it. She had spent her whole life craving the love of a father, only to be rejected by the man she thought was hers. And now, she stood in court, fighting for recognition from a man who never even knew she existed. Mr. Holmes didn't hesitate. He had no emotional connection to this claim, no reason to believe it.
You don't believe she's your biological child?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Why? Explain to the court.
Because Miss Alston's mother, back in the day, she was like fast. And because I met her at the school bus stop. She was in high school. And 2 days later, after I met her, I had sex with her. I called her again.
And yet, his own mother, Ms. Jenny, had always believed otherwise. She had accepted Ms. Alston as her granddaughter from the moment her mother had introduced them. No hesitation, no doubt. But why was he the last to know? That was the part that didn't sit right with him.
My mother came to me first and said that Donna was my son's child. So I told John, I said, John, Donna is my grandchild.
And when her mother told you this, did she say or mention that there could also be other possible fathers?
No, she never admitted that to me. She just told me my son was Donna's father.
Also, Ms. Alston's mother had never given a clear explanation. Why had she lied for so many years? What was the point of this complicated web of half-truths and revelations? Ms. Alston had been left in the dark, forced to accept the love of a man who might not even be her father, all because her mother had told her what she wanted to hear. No answers, no closure.
Do you have any inkling as to why your mother said one man was your father, then another man?
No,
did she ever give you a reason?
She never did. She's never.
Did you ever ask her?
No, I never asked.
So you just
when she told me and I met Miss Jenny, when they took me in as a family, I just ran with it because she said he was my dad.
It was finally time to hear from Mr. Alston, who was the man on her birth certificate, the man she had called a dad until her mom introduced Mr. Holmes. Let's see if he has any explanation for not creating a relationship with her.
Well, you're saying that up until recently, you still considered her your daughter?
Yes, that's my daughter. There's no way in the world I would not think that.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
That's my daughter.
He calls me his daughter sitting here, but he's never been a dad to me. He's never been a dad. I don't recall no phone calls.
But she says she tried to have a relationship with you and you rejected her.
No,
yes.
Ms. Alston had heard it all before. She had fought this battle long before stepping into this courtroom. She had tried to build a bond with Mr. Alston over the years, but was rejected. Now Mr. Alston says she is disrespectful and only saw him as a bank.
Money is minor. Where's the love? Where's the care? Where's the time? Where's the Christmases? That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. We're not here about money.
We're talking about 15 years, though.
We're talking about actually 16 years.
After 16 years, you said you had another father after
who's
16
been
years.
more of a father to me than you have.
Why
and you signed the birth certificate.
Why didn't you come to me?
Ms. Alston contended that she needed more than the money. She needed him, his presence, his love. Mr. Holmes pointed out that he had offered for her to stay with him, but she and her mom rejected his offer. Still, man, this is your daughter.
So this is the man on your birth certificate. This is the man you were led to believe for 15 years was your biological father, and yet you have no relationship with him.
Yeah.
This is the man at 15 your mother told you really is your biological father, and yet he doubts that you're his biological child, but his family accepts you as their family.
Yes.
But now, with the truth about to be revealed, she couldn't ignore the uncertainty that gnawed at her. What if he really wasn't her father? There was no turning back now. Will hearts be broken, or will connections be made? Ms. Alston tensed up.
Mr. Holmes, you are not Miss Alston's father. Mr. Alston, you are not Miss Alston's father.
Why'd she do that?
Lord have mercy.
It was messy from the start. Teenagers tangled in love, betrayal, and now a baby at the center of it all. Desire Shands sat in court, determined to prove one thing, that Amir Hollis, her first love, the boy she gave everything to, was the father of her 15-month-old son, Aiden. She wanted a family. He wanted nothing to do with her.
Miss Shands, you appear in court today because you are devastated that your first love and the person you lost your virginity to is now denying your 15-month-old son, Aiden. You say once you prove to the defendant that he is the father, you hope you two can finally be a family. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Amir, sitting beside his mother, wasn't buying any of it. In his mind, Desire was a liar, a cheat, and everyone, including his mother, knew exactly who the birth father was. Not him. Never him.
Is that Amir is the father of my child. He has been in my baby life ever since my baby has been 3 months. He's my first love, my first kiss, my first everything. And today I just want to know the truth about, I want to prove to him that he is the father of my child.
Judge Lake wasn't here for the back and forth drama. She had seen cases like this before. Young love gone wrong, reckless choices, and a child caught in the storm. But this one had layers. And as far as his mother was concerned, Desire had played herself.
This is really what went on. All of them would be at my house every weekend. His friend, that's the other guy that she messed around with, and they would be there all the time. And I was there one weekend, I was off. And she was going to the store. She said, come on, best friend. But that's supposed to be his best friend. Come on, best friend, let's go to the store. I said, I told him, what I do that at?
Revenge. That's what Desire called it. Amir cheated, so she did the same. But not just with anyone, with his close friend. And not just once. Multiple times, no protection, no second thoughts, just messy, heated, emotional choices with life-altering consequences.
It sounds about silly. So you have revenge sex with one of his friends. And did you use protection?
No.
And then how many times did you have sex with this friend of his?
Multiple times.
Multiple times. But were you also still being intimate with Mr. Hollis?
Well, we had
broke up. When me and his friend had an affair, we wasn't together. We was not together at all.
An affair.
5 whole months of not knowing she was carrying a baby while bouncing between 2 young men. And who did she tell first? Not Amir, his friend. The same friend who had been with her when the baby was born. The same friend who had been ready to step up.
So you find out you're 5 months pregnant. What happens? Who do you tell?
Well, first I told his friend, because that's the person I was going with at the time. We ended up going out.
So the friend you cheated on him with, and the next thing you know, y'all end up.
Excuse me,
yes, we ended up going
what she saying don't matter. When she was going, my friend, she was still sneaking around with me anyway because
the other guy was at the hospital and signed everything. But then something changed. Desire took one look at Aiden and decided he looked more like Amir than anyone else. That's when the tables turned.
So, Miss Shands, if the other guy was at the birth, why are you now saying Mr. Hollis is the baby's father?
Because, like, my baby had more futures than him than the other guy.
Yes, he did.
He did not look nothing like the other guy at all.
I FaceTimed her and told her that it looked like I said, Aiden looks like Amir.
To make matters worse, Desiree wasn't exactly transparent about who the father could be. She had kept the other man's identity hidden from him, but it wasn't enough to convince Amir to change his mind. Not when his best friend was still walking around claiming the child as his own.
So to this day, the other person doesn't know that Mr. Hollis could be Aiden's biological father?
He hears it off the streets, because everybody on the street tell him that the baby look like Aiden, the baby look like Amir, the baby look like Amir.
He think he is child.
But in his mind, he's running around the streets saying, this is my baby.
They're beefing over it. That him and my son is beefing over it.
Oh, but the case got worse. Apparently, the former high school sweethearts had been trading dropping videos and songs about each other in proper Gen Z style.
Can't be cuffing Columbus hoe. About a year ago, I was in love with a thought. It just keeps getting worse.
Oh, Miss Yana. And it was a video that went viral. It went viral. He made a little song. It got me and his picture in the background.
Indeed, and there's one way to cure this insanity. Desire was sure. Amir was in denial. His mother, she had already made up her mind. And then Judge Lake opened the envelope.
Mr. Hollis, you are not the father.
Meet the Virgin Mary. This was a mess. A hot, tangled, drama-filled mess. Mr. Harrington was in court absolutely convinced he was not the father of Nalani Day. He wanted nothing to do with the accusations, the whispers, or the drama. In his mind, this was an open and shut case. There were other contenders, and he had no doubt Ms. Day was trying to pin a baby on him simply because he was a responsible father to their other child.
Mr. Harrington, you claim you are not the father of Ms. Day's 1-month-old daughter, Nalani Day, and want her to stop pinning her baby on you. You say your sexual relationship with the defendant ended before she got pregnant. Ms. Day, you say you would never attempt to pin a baby on a man without being sure he is the father.
According to him, his relationship with Ms. Day had ended long before the pregnancy, and he wasn't buying her story. His claims were harsh. He called her promiscuous and hinted at other contenders for the father role, dismissing the possibility that he was the one. A baby tied to a week of reckless behavior, he said, was certainly not his responsibility.
Nalani is not my child. This is the reason though. Because there's other contenders, and she's a promiscuous person. She like to be, you know what I'm saying, she a party person. So she do whatever she feel like she want to do. And she knows I'm a good father to the child I already got with her. You know, I'm a good person, and I take care of my responsibility.
But Ms. Day wasn't having it. Her confidence was through the roof. According to her, if Mr. Harrington wasn't the father, then she must be the Virgin Mary. There was no other man, no other possibility, no question in her mind at all.
What do you do?
He is not the father of my child. I am the Virgin Mary. There's no other possibilities. I have not been messing around with anybody else throughout the time that we were messing around.
So you are 100% positive Mr. Harrington is your child's biological father?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Lake wanted to understand the timeline. According to Ms. Day, she and Mr. Harrington were still intimately involved during the window of conception. In fact, things got so complicated that one of their encounters allegedly took place in a hospital while their other child was sick. Messy? Absolutely. But according to her, that's when the baby was conceived.
We were living together in September. So we got into it, broke up. My middle child, the other child that we have together, was having seizures. So she was in and out of the hospital. When we was in the hospital, at the hospital, we did it. So when we did it, I really do believe that's the day that I
At the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harrington rolled his eyes. He wasn't buying it. He claimed she never even told him she was pregnant. He had to find out from an anonymous text message. The message suggested that not only was she pregnant, but there was another man in the mix.
She didn't even tell me that she was pregnant. I had to find out through an anonymous texter that.
How did you find out she was pregnant?
An anonymous texter, I swear. We got into a conversation, I got the text right here.
Let me see those, please, Jerome.
Look, let me see.
You about to see?
Make it up.
I swear to God, why would I make that up? Like,
I don't know.
Mr. Harrington was blindsided. His sister had apparently known the whole time, and when he confronted her, the story got even shadier. It seemed like everyone knew about this baby before he did.
How you found out she was pregnant,
yes,
though?
That's exactly.
Never mind guy number 1 and guy number 2.
Yeah, that's how I found out. Then I asked my sister, I called her, whatever. I was like, so I heard you was hiding the pregnancy. She was like, Kayla didn't want me to tell you, and she was also saying that you the daddy. And I'm like, how? When she ain't talking to me.
Ms. Day, however, stuck to her story, denying any other men could have been involved in the pregnancy. According to her, she had been with Mr. Harrington during the window of conception, and no one else could possibly be the father.
The tip was true that you were pregnant, but you're saying there was no guy number 1 and guy number 2.
No, it wasn't. There is a guy number 1 and a guy number 2, but not a guy number 1 and a guy number 2 potentially to be my child's father.
The drama escalated when the judge questioned whether Mr. Harrington had been supportive during the pregnancy. He admitted he had been present at the birth, but he made it clear that his presence was more about ensuring he wasn't missing out on the potential fatherhood. He hadn't even signed the birth certificate, and he only showed up to make sure everyone knew he was still keeping it real. He did suggest that if the baby was indeed his, she should take his last name, but only if.
And I want to understand, once he finds out you're pregnant, are you supportive of this pregnancy, Mr. Harrington? Are you at the doctor's appointments? Do you come for the birth?
Yes, I was there for the birth because I was saying to myself, okay, if I am a possible father, I don't want to have missed the birth. So I was keeping it real with myself. I was being real with myself.
Okay.
All right.
Judge Lake wasn't one to tolerate nonsense, and she made it clear. Enough of the back and forth. It was time to get to the truth. The courtroom fell silent as she opened the envelope.
Mr. Harrington, you are not the father.
Told you.
Are you serious?